Let's grab this one from the Post-Millennial. White House isn't treating us very good. Trump says he's always worried about safety during rallies as second Butler PA event nears. I think the White House isn't treating us very good. I get crowds that are 10 times bigger than anybody else, 20 times bigger than anybody else, and we're entitled to security. Indeed, the question of his personal safety and that of others in the crowd is even more pressing as he prepares the return to another rally this weekend in Butler, PA, the location where he almost lost his life to would-be assassin Thomas Crook. So that's coming up in 2 days, right?
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday. Holy smokes.
That is soon. Are you going to go?
Oh, man.
Going?
Well,
I'm excited about it.
You are going?
Yeah, I wanted to see it. I mean, I have seen Trump speak a couple different times, but never in the rally setting. Like I've seen him at Turning Point. I've seen him at sort of more private stuff. And I think especially like returning to Butler is so fascinating. I think one of the big crimes that the media committed against Donald Trump this year was the fact that they did not treat his assassination attempt with the gravity that they should have, right? I mean, they had to talk about it, even though they initially tried to be like, oh, he fell down, there was a loud noise, which is disrespectful. They had to talk about it for a little while. The second Kamala Harris announced, they immediately pivoted. And you can argue that, sure, that would have stolen some of the oxygen, but it never should have stolen all of it, right? Someone shot Trump in public in a swing state, and the media said, well, that's enough of that. Maybe we'll mention Iran, maybe not. So I think I'm really curious what the crowd is going to be like. And I felt like it's drivable for me. So I want to go and be on the ground.
I definitely want to go because it's relatively close to us. The problem, however, is security. Mm-hmm. And so, when we do events, and especially you guys at Daily Wire, you know all about it.
Oh, yes.
We have security guards. I was just at Rescue the Republic, and Russell Brand had like several guards around him. When RFK Jr. came out, they basically shut the whole event down, and he had like rows of security he had to walk through. I respect that because he's a Kennedy. Mm-hmm. We know all about that. But depending on where I'm at or what we're doing, I have to have security all the same. I don't know that I'd be able to navigate that massive kind of event. Unless I could probably reach out to somebody and see if there's like, we could get in early and they could walk us to somewhere secure to watch the rally from or something. But I want to go so bad. Yeah. So I'm gonna dig into that and see what we can do.
I'm really happy that, he is returning in October. I think that there is something really powerful about that messaging. And I think this is the kind of resiliency that Americans want to see in themselves, right? I mean, we've been talking a lot about the disaster, the impact of the hurricane. And I think there are, a lot of really terrible, tragic stories, but the stories that Americans want to rally around and want to give to one another are stories of resiliency. And, I don't feel that from Kamala Harris, who seems to avoid any kind of direct confrontation. I don't feel that way about Tim Walz, who says I misspoke when actually he just lied to you. But I think I see that. We see that in Hillbilly Elegy in J.D. Vance's story, and we definitely see that in Donald Trump. We see it in a lot of ways, but I think returning to the scene of the crime, the scene of this terrible thing, even when he knows that, like, I mean, it's not like this was the only attempted assassination this year. I just think these are big moments, and if you can be there, it would be cool.
I'm a little worried because even if he has the current levels of protection from the Secret Service, I think he needs more than that. I'm surprised that the campaign has not spent more on additional security, personal, private security. I mean, at the Daily Wire, I could have made 3 or 4 more movies each year with the amount of money they spend on private security. And it's so important. I mean, I've received at least 2 major death threats before, and they're real scary. And they get to you. They shake you up.
I've been asked a lot about this. Russell Brand, we see him at the event. Very nice guy, super cool. He's got security guards walking around the whole time. Everywhere he goes, there's 4 guards around him. And I've had people ask, like, does Russell Brand really need security? Come on. And I'm like, people don't realize it's not even if it's targeted. There could be a crazy person who just thinks, wow, I could get on TV if I'm the one who shoves him or hits him or whatever. And that's why you need security. One of the reasons I stopped doing on the ground reporting and started shifting into more of the podcasting in the newsroom kind of stuff was because I got to the point where random people would show up and run into front of the camera and advertise things.
Oh, how annoying.
Yeah, they knew that I'm getting millions of views doing a live stream covering an event, or that, in the immediate, it's like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And then over the long run, it might be 500,000 to 1 million plus views. Some of them were massive. Some of them got picked up on TV. So they'd run up and they'd not necessarily advertise, but they'd be like, I'm going to shout out this, shout out that, like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, bro, get out of my camera. And then they'd chase me around. Legit had a guy in Portland chase me through the whole event just trying to get on camera.
That's wild.
You need a security guard.
That reminds me.
And then
of,
you can't do it. You can't do it.
Katie Davis Court was out in, where was she? She was in Seattle. And she was walking down the street and she saw Pramila Jayapal, who had 2 security guards. But that wasn't enough because Katie ran up to her, Pramila, like asked her a bunch of questions.
You know,
great.
I mean, that's fine, right? The security guards are there to make sure that no one
Right.
stabs you. Or
Yeah, no, Katie wasn't.
But
stab anybody.
you know, if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, man, I'm a big fan. It's cool." Like, yeah, there's no issues. But that's why you need security guards, because what if the person running up saying Pramila actually was a psychopath foaming at the mouth?
Instead of just a reporter.
And out of the millions of people that know who you are, it takes one crazy person.
I mean, Russell Brand certainly needs security. I spent almost a decade as Stone Cold Steve Austin's manager and movie producer, and so
tie.
I traveled all over the
That's
world
very
with
cool.
him.
Yeah, but he could beat people up.
Well, but the problem is everyone wants to shake his hand. Everyone wants to arm wrestle him. Everyone wants to, do a push-up test with him. Like, and the thing, I traveled once. It was a great opportunity. I traveled once to Macau, which is the Las Vegas of China, with Christian Bale and Bryce Dallas Howard and the cast of Terminator Salvation. Okay.
This is an amazing story.
And Christian, of course, is a very thoughtful person, and he said something really savvy. As we were walking through the airport, we had the Gavin DeBecker security team there, and they were taking us to the plane and things like that. And we flew commercial, but he said, when I walk through an airport, I don't know anybody, and they all know me. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They know and they've seen him in movies and they've seen him in interviews, so they think that they know him enough to approach, right? And this happens to a lot of celebrities. And I thought that was a fascinating insight.
Yeah. Well,
That must happen to you all the time.
Oh, for sure. I mean, usually I meet people, I get fist bump, and they're like, "Hey, man, I'm a big fan." I shake their hands. I say, "Thank you so much," because I met some people recently at Rescue the Republic, and they were like, "We appreciate what you do." And I was like, "I appreciate what you guys do, because if you didn't watch, I wouldn't be doing anything." So it's reciprocal, right? But I'm pretty sure this is how Houdini died, right? Someone punched him in the gut.
No, really?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah, famously, Houdini had the iron gut or whatever, and he would tighten his abs and get ready and challenge people to strike him. And then apparently someone... This is the truth, right? This is the story. Somebody saw him and said, "I can punch him," and went up without him knowing and just boom as hard as he could and killed him.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Awful.
Yeah, and it's actually, when you mentioned Christian Bale, it's a great movie, The Prestige, which I'm sure you've seen.
Best.
And there's a point being made where he says, "Why don't we do a bullet catch?" And it's like, all it takes is some guy to slip a real bullet in there, and then it's over. And that's why you can't do it. It's an old movie, so sure enough, yes, Hugh Jackman slips a real bullet in and then shoots him in the hand. So crazy people do crazy things.
Like the guy who killed John Lennon.
Yeah.
He's like a crazed fan. Or like the guy
was he?
who, like, what?
Or was he?
I don't know. But then you had the guy who, like, took a video of himself. Oh, that was awful. And, like, sent it to Bjork. And it was like him trying to kill himself on video and send it to Bjork. Terrible. Really terrifying.
There are people who just don't know how to matter, and they want to matter. And so this is why you get dangerous, crazy people who harm others, not all the time, but a component of it. And that's why they say, don't say the names of school shooters and things like that, because they were trying to get noticed in the worst way possible.
Well, there was a girl in the UK who recently stabbed up a bunch of her classmates and a teacher and said that's one way to become a celebrity.
Yeah,
It's not a
Daily
celebrity,
Wire,
famous.
Daily Wire has had a long-standing rule, even today, that they don't ever name the shooter or so on.
So all the Trump assassination attempter stories, they don't have the guy's name in it?
That's my understanding.
Interesting.
I do think there's a slight difference, at least as far as I would go with editorial policy on the assassinations. I try to avoid...
It may be different on that one.
Yeah,
It would be difficult to report on Ryan Routh right now
Yeah.
without using his name because he's.
I think we're talking about the school shootings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
These are people who think to themselves, I will get put in the history books if I do this. And my response is never. Don't let them do that.
Yeah, it's kids getting killed and sad.
Nah. Yeah. The only thing is we're going to call you stupid duty poo-poo face. That'll be your name if you want. If you go out in these ways, we're not going to say your name. We're going to say, we're going to insult you.
Yes.
And you might find yourself in the history of books, but your picture will be next to a steaming pile of crap, dog crap or something. As for the people going after Trump, they're doing it for political reasons, not necessarily recognition, although that may be a component. So that is a scary thing. And I'm just hoping Trump, Biden, Kamala, everybody stays safe. I really am just crossing my fingers and hoping every day that the election is a bit shocking, because I'll give it that, but ultimately ends up mundane. No January 6th, none of that stuff.
Weird.
Maybe it takes 3 days to count the votes, but then they say, look, guys, here it goes. And then everyone just gets angry and grumbles, and then we move on. Whatever it may be, we keep the fight in the political arena. We keep it legal. We keep it in the realm of law and activism and culture building. I hope that's what happens. I'm not so confident, though. I'm pretty worried. But I am saying that in the... I don't understand how Kamala Harris wins. I just don't. I mean, literally, shadow campaign, that I understand. I'm just saying right now, with the unions back, like Trump's union support is through the roof, the Teamsters, the state of the economy, a hurricane disaster. I know the port strikers is wrapping up and they're going to renegotiate in January or whatever and figure out what they can do. But you've got war in the Middle East breaking out. I mean, this is a catastrophically bad month for the Democrats. So by any sense of the imagination, based on the merits, they should not be able to win. But, we're in strange times. How about that?
I think that it's going to come down to 20,000 people in Pennsylvania.
And that's why I will be up there October 13th with Jack and Scott Pressler, because, I don't want to say too much, but I was having some conversations with top men. And they were just saying that, and this is before I decided to do anything, they were just like, if we lose PA, that's it.
It's over.
Democrats take the election.
Right. That's right.
And so I'm hearing that a lot of very high-profile, prominent people are making moves into Pennsylvania to encourage voter registration, and that's it.
I love all of the enthusiasm that he's going into blue states and feels like everything is really good and he's confident. I think that's a great attitude. But it's really hard to believe that Michigan and Wisconsin go his way. I think Nevada and Georgia and Arizona should. I'm nervous about North Carolina because of the destruction of the red counties in the West.
That is concerning.
Which is very, very tough to imagine that doesn't hurt. But I think it comes down to Pennsylvania.
But you know what? The response to the hurricane may actually push people towards Trump in other areas and surrounding areas. I mean, the people who got devastated have family members who are living in surrounding areas too.
Right.
So you might have someone who's moderate and they're getting a crying phone call from their brother-in-law, from their sister, from their uncle, whatever, being like, they're leaving us to rot. My God, we need help here. And they may just be like, Kamala betrayed my family. So this hurricane is a catastrophe for them, especially because they spent so much money on illegal immigrants. And they're like, we're going to spend the money we have. And it's like, listen, make the argument, fact checkers. The 750 cap was always there. They're spending everything they can. And then go to your working class average person devastated by the disaster and say, this is as much money as you get based on the cap. And they're going to say to you, how come you're giving Ukraine hundreds of billions? And you're going to say, well, that's something totally different. No, it's not. You could sign a bill right now sending that $100 billion to us, and we could rebuild our house overnight. And we all know it. And I doubt if members of Congress today said, here is the reallocating Ukraine war funds to the victims of Hurricane Helene bill, or Hurricane Helene Act, everyone in this country would be like, yeah, right. As much as many people may support Ukraine and really despise what Putin did and the war and all of that stuff, America comes first. We can't generate the revenue required to help anybody around the world anywhere if we have our people devastated and unable to live. I think most people would agree with that. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.